Hey, and welcome to another little exciting video about how to make yourself get better with Illustrator. We're going to work with the pen tool this time. The pen tool is the tool that I tell everyone that it's going to be the hero tool, the tool you will use the most. And that goes cross platform and cross apps, right? So you'll use the pen tool in Photoshop, you use a pen tool in even editing software, After Effects, motion graphics work. You'll use the pen tool will be something that ends up being a part of all of your digital life. And if you've never used it, it's a great place to start right here. And if you have used it, you shouldn't skip this because you'll probably learn a few extra goodies in order to make you a little bit more proficient and master this sweet little gem. Quick update to the newest version. I'm jumping in here. The pen tool in the 2020 and 2021 Illustrator version from Adobe is the third tool down. So you'll have your selection, your direct selection, and then your pen tool. And bundled with the pen tool is the anchor point tool. Previous versions had this tool down around number 5, and it had like 3 other tools in there, not anymore. So that is the difference that you'll see here from previous versions. We're just going to get rolling here with the primary pen tool. It does have a shortcut P on the keyboard, so if you just want to hit P, it'll jump right to your pen tool. Speaking of shortcuts, V is the selection tool, A is the direct selection tool, N is your pencil, P is the pen. So things like that are kind of handy to get used to. Allows you to jump through these guys a little faster. I'm going to be working with the file called Pen Intro, and it's downloaded via the Session 3 tutorial page. And it is a file that, for some reason, when it got uploaded to the university's box server, it renamed it from .ai to .ai.ps. Your computer might not know what to do with that file, but if you force it open in Illustrator, Illustrator goes, yeah, cool, I got this. Otherwise, you could just delete the extension .ps off it and just leave it so it says penintro.ai, and then it will unmistakably be a Illustrator file that you can open up and use. This is just kind of like a little worksheet practice zone that I made up for us so that we can work on a few simple shapes and get a little more advanced, but really just to identify how the pen tool works and how to master lines and curves. So the way the pen tool works is it operates with a click and release method. So the pencil tool you would push down and you just start drawing, and when you were done you'd let go of your stylus, preferably, hopefully not a finger on a trackpad, and hopefully not a mouse, but you get the idea. You click and then you move, and then you click somewhere else and you move, and you click somewhere else and you move. So in the case of a square, it's a very simple process of I'm gonna use the square right now as a template. I'm gonna click once, and you can see that I just laid an anchor, and it has a line and says, all right, where are you gonna click next? And I say, well, I'm gonna click right here. Cool. And says, all right, great, now where are you gonna go? And say this bottom right corner, and then now where? Top right corner. And now currently what I have is I have a shape that is open. I have not completed my path, which is fine, but you should definitely be in the habit of closing paths, which means to click back on the very first point or anchor that you made. And you can see that the icon even changes. It turns into a little pen with a circle. It says, hey, you're going to close your path. And you say, excellent, thank you. So now I've just created a simple polygon close to a square. It's not perfect. I'm going to delete it just so we can try it again over here on the right, where you're not using a reference underneath. Clicking and moving, clicking and moving, clicking and moving. If this is a new tool for you, you may find yourself clicking and dragging a little bit, and all of a sudden you might go, oh, well, that's different than what he showed me on screen. That is true. You've just created a curve instruction from that anchor that you laid down. And sometimes if you move too fast, you might even give a little bit of a click and a hold and whatnot. Not really good if you're trying to do awesome geometrical shapes like a square or a triangle or a star or something. So be very careful and thoughtful as to how you click, release, and move on to get to your next shape. One thing that you should definitely note is that if you start clicking and you're into something and you don't want to be there anymore, a way out would be to hit the delete key, and that takes you back to your last anchor. But it closes sort of the task. So if you wanted to continue, you'd have to click back on that last anchor, and then now you can continue with your shape. So just try those things, get used to that. Sometimes someone might be in the tool and they want to go, change tools, right? And you can do that. It's fine. It'll just interrupt your shape and leave you with, an unfinished form, or maybe you think you were finished and you can just call it good that way. But definitely just start off very simply making a geometric shape with hard corners and straight lines. Now let's move on to something a little more challenging, which is the circle. So as I just showed you, if you click and drag at all while using this pen tool, you'll lay down anchors with the instruction to curve a segment to your next anchor. So if I clicked and dragged to the left, you can see I have these handles. Well, this is not artwork. This is invisible instructions. How far, how much of an influence of a curve do you want for your next point? So, if I did a really short one and I went to my next point over here, you can see that that's not very circle-like. It's almost a straight line. It has a slight curve to it. And as we talked about Bezier handles before, the longer the Bezier, the more curve you end up getting out of it. So I'm going to backtrack. I'm going to go back to the very beginning. And I'm going to click and drag to my left. And then I'm going to click for a next segment. And I might drag about as far as I did last time. Well, this gets interesting too, because now it's starting to look like maybe like a rounded rectangle or something. Well, you can make those, right? So if all of my curves are equally as long, I do end up something that looks more like a rounded rectangle, not a circle. So to get the circle dialed, you kind of have to compromise. You go, okay, maybe I won't go as far. And then on the next one, I'll do one and not go as far. And I'll come down to the bottom and I'll do one not as far. And then I'll do the right side and, just sort of compromising, right? And then, oh, shoot, I did it too fast of a click. Come back here. Click. Doink. That's why I have something that resembles more of a circle. It's not perfect. And that's fine. There are ways to get perfect. But for now, at least we know that that is the process of introducing the curved instruction to those segments between those points. You can always, as we know, get the direct selection tool, come back and select any of those points, and you can move them and say, well, that wasn't quite in the middle, and this one should probably be a little more of a curve influence with the Bezier, and this guy maybe down a little bit, that one up a smidge. And so you can always come back and edit these lines and try to get as good as you can with the tools that we've already learned about. And that's fantastic. You totally should. So for symmetrical things, you could, try to use the shift key or something like that, a modifier, in order to make a more perfect shape. But if you wanted a perfect circle, then there's another tool for that. This bottom shape, I have a dotted line that is, more like a 4-point star. But on the left, you can see that I have something that looks more like an old-fashioned bathtub handle for the hot or cold water. This is a way for us to practice making more complex shapes with the Beziers, where I might click on the top of the star, give myself some handles. I'll click down at this point here, also drag perhaps more of a 45-degree angle, click here, drag out again. I guess I need to accentuate these curves just a little bit more. And so if I use all of the corners of this star as my points, then I can get something that, oh, that's weird. Why are you doing that? It's acting a little fishy. That's fine, because we'll know how to fix this here in a little bit, but you should practice trying to draw this blobby star by using the points of the guideline star in order to replicate that. And then on this side, I just have some more shapes you could try to, you know, mimic or copy or draw over here on the side. I can't really remember why I put those there. But hey, it's a practice sheet, so go ahead and work with the pen tool a little bit. Just remember, it's a click, 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 and move your pen kind of a tool. Anytime you drag, you're introducing a Bezier curve. So you can get more sort of fun, rounded organic shapes, but it is not one in which, it's not a tool in which you will drag and move around in order to create your lines. All right, well, that's going to be it for the intro, and then we'll jump into much more specifics of the pen tool here in the next one. Thanks.